invite Petey Kid on stage to welcome you. Would you like to give him a round of applause? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. That was all just pure marketing, okay? Okay, before we start off, I know it's afternoon. I always get the toughest section. Okay, so I'm going to make it a little bit more interactive. I'm going to let you all wind your clock back because some of you have been with Avita for a long time. Like Adrian, you've been with Avita for what, 10, 15 years? More than 15 years, okay. And do you kind of remember what was the first event that you got invited to? What was it? Was it that? 15 years ago? Okay. Yeah, was that Chinese New Year? Yeah, okay, just speak up. Oh, maybe just have another mic. Okay, wait. So, do you remember how was it you felt after you took part in your first Chinese New Year event? I'm going to kind of wind the clock back and then...
How I felt? Well, first of all, one thing I noticed is that there is this family. And people are very close to each other. Everybody's nice, and they are very close to each other. Then how I felt, another one is that the karaoke sessions were a bit long.
Okay.
That was a struggle.
Yeah, you couldn't wait to get your prize, right? Kind of stuff. Okay, so something very familiar. Okay, good. What about yourself, Bradley? What was the first event that you kind of attended? Avita official event, was that also the Chinese New Year? No.
Would it have been?
So you're going to start taking NGF and remember,
Yeah, possibly. I think it was possibly the same event. Would it have been? Yeah.
The Chinese New Year?
I think so.
And what was that? That was the first time you attended officially in Avita. Like, wow, okay. Then remember what was kind of your takeaway after attending the event?
Well, I do remember the karaoke as well.
Okay, yeah.
It was quite long. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But what was the takeaway feel like? Okay, these guys are crazy people, is it, or what?
No, well, I found everybody to be very welcoming.
Okay. Hey, who do you remember was the first, maybe the Avita leader that you met?
Oh, Pauline.
Pauline. And then before you met Pauline, right?
Tony.
Did somebody tell you much about Pauline?
Yes, Adrian.
Okay. So Adrian, what do you tell Bradley about Pauline?
She's a pain in the butt.
But you always remember that pain in the butt, right?
Always sending me all these events and all this stuff, and I tell you, and then she said that I don't read whatever she sends me.
Then what was that moment that click, suddenly decided that, okay, maybe I should check this out after all? Do you remember what was the thing that... But I'm just making you all rethink because when we go through ABCs later on, I just want to help you see some of the moments, yeah.
The moments, how I felt.
Now, where do you suddenly take that, okay, it's not a pain in the butt, no, I better come back there and see what the heck this was all about, that of stuff, right?
Well, I suppose it's, I've been with her for a while, right? Every social events, she's always invited for social events because she knows that I'm a very sociable person and I enjoy those kind of things.
Sure, okay.
So that is her way of yeah.
Okay, good.
She didn't go through this profiling kind of thing.
You didn't think so. You didn't think so. Okay? You didn't think so.
So she did it secretly.
Yeah. So today I'm going to peel back some of the secrets,
Okay, I'll confront her after this.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to start peeling back the secrets as you go through, and then you kind of, so that's what it was after all, right?
Yeah, but I have to say that she never gave up. Yeah. I mean, throughout the whole 15 years, right? I think I noticed something that you said just now, timing.
Yeah.
The timing is not right.
Yeah.
And she just waited throughout the whole time, 15 years throughout my...
She's still a pain. She's still a pain.
Still is. Now it's even worse. She created a... She created Adrian's team.
And now she's welcoming the pain. Give it to me, give it to me.
Rope him and then Christine along.
All right. Well, thank you, Adrian. Right. Okay, let me roll it back to this side. We have okay, Yvonne. Do you remember when was your first time visiting Avita?
That was in August last year.
Oh, okay. What was that first
Yeah.
event?
First event was they were trying to get me to be a GA, a direct GA.
What you mean the first event was to get you direct into the Oh, no.
Sorry. Backtrack. Okay. My first event with Avita was at the last year anniversary. But Shunai
okay.
cannot make it, so she gave me to the
So it's accidental prospecting.
naively accepted.
But you didn't know that she purposely turned down that thing.
Exactly. I didn't know the trick.
Okay, so what was your takeaway when you attended the anniversary event?
Well,
think back
it's-
to this thing.
Okay, very impressive. And you can see that it's a family gathering, all
okay.
happy, cheering and happy, saying hi to everybody. You feel like it's a closely knitted family. And you feel like it's good to be in it. Yeah, that's what I feel, and I really enjoy the dinner. Very impressive one.
Okay. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah. Okay, and then after that, what was the next event? Was that straight to the office?
Yes. Okay. After that, because I got pain on my knee, I can't walk. So Chuna recommended Saligen.
Okay.
I took. After a few weeks, I feel much better. So of course, I was debating should I join Avita or not. I debated over the night.
Wow.
So it's like buying jewelry last time.
Not many years like you, Adrian. Okay.
Like buying jewelry while I was working, I like it, I buy. But after you retire, you realize you look, you like it, you think overnight. If you can't sleep, then you buy. So likewise, later I decided, okay, let me go to the office and see how the products work.
Hey, what was your first impression when you walked into the office? I think that was your first time.
Firstly, I didn't know Avita has such an office here with all the products, and it's very professionally done to set up everything. And of course, I didn't know there was a C profile going on, the A and the B.
All shall be shown later on. Okay.
Yeah, so I became a direct GA then.
Okay, thank you. And some more. Okay.
May I add? Actually, there's some more behind the story.
See.
Because I've been giving her products, she keep asking me how much. I don't know how to tell her because if it's expensive, she may give up. So I say, you just take. After that, when you buy, then you return me. So when she says she's at night, still she's decided
Okay, later
to buy,
we'll
right?
teach you how to say.
She say, okay, 8月7月 because that time the 7th month thing. So she doesn't want to buy in the 7th month. So she brought forward her purchase, and that's how she.
I don't want to buy. I don't want to join a member on the 7th month. So I joined on the 8th month.
The months matter. Okay, the months matter. Okay. What about Michael? Come on, Michael. Is this your first time to Avita?
Yes.
Oh, is it?
No, just the first one.
Okay, what was the first time you encountered Avita? Cannot be today lah.
The first one I came was ELS.
Oh, before that you've never been to the office. Wow, you must have really loved your wife, man. and what was the reason you decided that you were going to...
For me, because all this MNL, when we seen a lot, so I don't know whether is it scammer. So I came in, it's just to learn.
To save your wife.
Save.
Probably.
Yes. Now at the same time it's called help lah.
All right, good. Okay, good. Thank you. So I think that kind of woke everybody. I hope you woke everybody up a little bit. Yeah. You can't beat them, join them. Okay, so I'm going to peel back some of the secrets, and then just want you to kind of recall back like the first time you guys met. I'm going to go through the front theories pretty quickly. You guys have seen this over and over again, and you kind of see this word appearing, right? ABC type of stuff. And I guess Adrian Pauline told you what ABC stands for?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. So what does ABC stands for? Just alpha.
A for advisor.
Oh, okay.
Save the consumer.
B for?
Client or something like that.
And B for? Boy.
For rich.
Wow, he's been paying attention to the lessons. Okay, I mean, a lot of people have heard this word ABC, and we throw these acronyms quite a bit. So yeah, I'm going to peel this back a little bit. And this, to me, is really what ABC is about, right? How do you use ABC to help you build your business easily, or what I call the power of leverage? And really this, I always say, master this, and building your Avita business will really be as easy as ABC. Okay, so who would like to learn that, right? So ABC, let's go, okay? These are official stuff, you know. That's what Wendy and earlier in the thing we were talking about. You guys do your name listing, you did your grid qualify and invite, which means that you get to know your prospects well, and if your prospects, you know, there is a potential for them to, have something that Avita is able to meet them, then you kind of invite them, and then we say, okay, this is where you do what we call the ABC. We say, this is where you do the conversion. Okay, but all these are just theories. Now, this is important. I just want to spend a little bit time on this. Remember Wendy was talking about, you know, this is really a relationship business. And I find that, you know, personally, I think this is where a lot of people in MLM fails, because they have this thing upside down. This is where a lot of people do, right? I don't know how many of y'all have had the experience that, you know, especially a new person, have you met them for a while, next thing they're talking about, hey, this product good, you want or not, type of stuff, right? And then Michael is nodding the head, type of stuff. And really, it's not about that. So I'm just going to go back this. So remember this. A lot of time is about this. Spend enough time about this. Spend enough time on getting to know the person, not whether she's going to be a business partner or whether she's going to be your prospect. I think, Adrian, we are talking about that just now, right? You're saying that, oh, I'm going to talk to them and see whether they'll be suitable for consumers. I'm not even there. You know, right now, after having been years in this business, one of my own mantra was, when I'm meeting a new friend, I want to know the friend as a friend, because all of us will realize this, right? You know, for somebody we have not seen for a long time, right? You realize that even though you say you can be friends for 15, 20 years, you know, a lot of time we don't really know the person at all. And that's why the grid qualify process is so important. Not so much as whether the person needs the product or not, the person is going to be your business partner. It's know the person for who they are, what have they, the past 15, 20 years, what happened to them, and so forth. And this is important. Now, do this well. Do this well, part 1 and part 2, and if you are skillful, right, you'll be able to tell, for example, like Adrian, you'll probably be meeting some of your banker friends, right? If you really can get a point where you guys can really build trust, and, you know, during the course of the conversation, you'll find that, hey, you know, there's a possible need for him, whether in health or in looking for something alternatively. This is only when you get into introduction of any opportunity. Now, if I were to talk to a friend and, you know, I couldn't help him in either with health or in, you know, a business opportunity, I will stop here. Really, I'll stop here, remain friends, and that's really about it. And then when the timing is right, you know, if they remember you, this would come, right? Now, if you could do all this very well, frankly, you know, the last 2 will then really be easy. So eventually, like, okay, I'm going to use Adrian's case. So Adrian's case initially really started as a consumer, right? Build enough trust, come here, meet enough crazy people, get comfortable with us, hear enough stories. You know, it come a time where the timing, like you say, is just right. Maybe I should then take a closer look at the business, and then that's when you may then migrate even from just being a consumer to being a business partner, right? You probably have some questions, you know, not a lot of objections, because by then you have good fit with your pain in the butt, right? So you were very comfortable with the pain in the butt. You know, so by the time, you know, you have some questions, these were not even objections. These were probably, you did not understand the business well enough. You know, she answered some of the questions, and voila, right? Now you're a business partner of that, right? So understand this well, because, you know, to me, this is the key to being a pro in the business, okay? So that's why, you know, don't do this, right? If you do this, I can tell you, you know, if you start with products and pushing it too too early, right, you'll be fighting all your way up into trying to, work with objections and so forth. Also, don't do this. Right. Now, so this is where, so these first two is like what Wendy was trying to talk to you about. Greet, qualify, get to know the people well, and then you find that, hey, that he does really need the product, right? Like what Janice there did, right? Shunai realized that, hey, she got knee pain. Okay, I think I can introduce her a solution. That's why she introduced the product. And then, of course, handle some questions from Shunai, and that's where, right? Because she has taken the time to build this one. And that is also one of the reasons why it's actually easier to work with warm leads, because warm leads, you already have that trust. They know you well, 15, 20 years, you guys have been, playing marbles together and stuff, right? And so today I'm just going to talk about this portion, which is the, when it comes to meeting up and then finally learning about the business, learning about it, and this is where we do what we call ABC, all right? Now, why don't we all read this together? Because I think, out of the whole ABC, this is something I really want you all to internalize. Come, let's read this together, okay? Come, team leverage, okay? We are most effective when we function as a closely networked team where everyone, uplines, sidelines, downlines, support one another with the spirit of cooperation, encouragement, and selflessness. All right? Team spirit means we care for and look out for each other. And this is why when Adrian or Bradley comes to Avita or even, right, you feel that, hey, how come everybody is like very close knitted, we work very closely together. And it's not something accident. It was something very deliberate that when we first started Avita, it was inculcated in all the leaders that, look, we are better off working together, everybody succeeding together, everybody cheering each other together, and you form a whole culture and community that everybody feels very comfortable with. So it doesn't really matter whether you are co-lead or whatever, once you step into the office, you all felt the same thing, right? And this is why when you look at, for example, I think Meridian Therapy for us is probably one of the secret weapon that brings everybody together. In this table, regardless of what teams you are in, which teams we are in, and what Wendy says, like Wendy team and my team, actually technically we are not together, but yet we work very closely together. But through that, right, you realize that, it's this team spirit. And I want you all to harness on that strength, right? It's that team leverage that makes it easy for even somebody who's new in the business to do that, right? To be able to be successful in this business. So remember working together as a team, right? And when you work together as a team, I tell you, whether this is Uncle Tony sitting down here and then, you have Lin Xin down here, wow, but with the weight of many, many people down here, we're able to lift Uncle Tony up, okay? So it's learning, it's the art of learning how to borrow strength at a team level to do what? Right? To communicate ideas, right? So like today, like ELS, right? I have many teams here together. No, I just don't have my team here, but by borrowing the strength from somebody else, I can communicate whether it's ideas. Now, and all these ideas get into you, like people like Michael, right? Wow, they say, I didn't know that before. In the end, with that idea, what do? You go ahead and take action. Whether the action is to support your wife 100% more or whatever, right? This is really the whole concept of what ABC is all about, right? It's not just the advisor bridge type of stuff, right? This is really the true spirit of what ABC is about. Okay, let's come to the technical side. What is really ABC, okay? Like what Adrian was saying, advisor. What does the advisor do? Okay, I mean, we just call them advisor, you can call them consultant or whatever, right? So the advisor now, this is your customer, your potential customer. So what is the role of the advisor? So the role of the advisor is really, okay, and then of course, between the advisor and your customer is you, or what we bridge between both these things, right? And what does the advisor do? So the advisor really does that, right? The bridge connects. The advisor's role in this case, because typically they are more experienced and so off, is to give presentation or give advice to your customer, especially like, for example, being so new in the business, right? Adrian, you don't know how to really talk about the business. So what do? You were introduced to Pauline, right? Pauline will then be the one who do this, right? Present and advise to C. And also, for C who's been curious, right? This is also the chance for him to get advice and answer at least from a veteran or from somebody who's been there, done that, right? So that is really why we call it a whole ABC triangle, right? Now, for somebody who's new in the business, for many of you do, okay, we don't want you to be what we call a super A, okay? Your need right now in the business is to succeed fast, succeed quick. And the key to it is learn how to be a super B, okay? Not a busy bee, okay, like that. It's how to be a super bridge, okay? Now, a lot of people always felt that, I really need to learn everything, be able to do everything before I can start the business. The beauty of this business is you really earn as you learn. And the way to earn as you learn is really, learn how to be a good bridge. Okay, so don't be in a hurry to say I need to be an expert in Celagen, I need to be an expert in meridian therapy before I can do this business. That's not your role right now. Your role is let your A do all the expert work. Okay, let people like us do all the talking. Let people like Pauline, let the people like Gina, let people like Wendy do all the talking. Be your A when you're very early in your career, right? This is what we tell people first. Be successful first, okay? Expertise comes second. What does that mean? Because the thing that will motivate you to stay in this business is when you ka-ching, put money inside your pocket, okay? Not being an expert in Celagen, not being an expert in Gua Sha and so forth, right? It is the job of us leaders to make you be successful, and the way to be successful in this business is having money inside your pocket, okay? Or able to eat your Celagen for free or whatever. So we really want you to achieve success first, then expertise can come. Expertise can come as you learn on the job, okay? The way to do that is easier to learn to be a bridge. It's harder to, it takes years to master, become like a meridian therapy expert. It maybe take, a couple of months or years to maybe be an expert to talk about Celagen and so forth, but it doesn't take a lot of things to learn how to be a strong bridge. And when you can become a very strong bridge, guess what? The person that you bring into the business, right? Like, Adrian just brought Bradley in the business, right? It's easier to teach Bradley how to be a bridge, a strong bridge, rather than teach Bradley how to be an expert to talk Celagen when you yourself, are struggling to talk that even though you've been taking for 15 years, right? So I say, when you can learn how to be a strong bridge, it's easier to teach people to be a strong bridge, and that's how you can copycat yourself faster, right? Now just remember this, your role is not to sell. Leave the selling to your A, leave the convincing to the A. Your job is to just bring your customer or your prospect to meet with A, whoever that may be, okay? So I say learn to be a super B. Today, your job is to connect. Right. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about this thing called tee-up. Now, typically, what happens between your bridge and you and the customer, because if you're bringing somebody that you know, right, do you agree that there's already trust in between the both of you? Right, it could be a friend, it could be whatever. And that's the challenge why sometimes when you work with a co-lead, it's very, very tough. A lot of say, I want to go Facebook, bring co-lead in, okay. The biggest challenge is when you have a co-lead in at this point, right, you don't have this thing called trust. And yet it takes time to build trust, right? The reason Chunai was able to bring Janice in quickly, Yvonne, Yvonne was because there was trust. Right, so even when Chunai tell him, hey, I got empty table, come lah, type of stuff, right? I mean, if he was a stranger, do you imagine Yvonne would come? No, probably not, right? So this is actually the big challenge thing. So that's why I said when you are new in the business, go with warm leads, go with people that you know, right? Especially you guys have been around in the business for so long, right? From your corporate days, right? The guys know your character inside out, right? You know how you go to toilet and stuff like that. They probably go together with you, so they know what happens, type of stuff, right? So there's that intrinsic trust between you. They know who you are, and that actually helps make your job easy, right? But what you also realize that your customer at this juncture in time doesn't know your A, right? It doesn't know your A, and this is where this term called tee-up pops up. Some of you may have heard that term, tee-up, tee-up your A lah, tee-up Wendy lah, tee-up looks lah, tee-up myself lah. What the heck does tee-up actually means, okay? Now, the purpose of tee-up is to do what? Before you have a chance for your A to meet C, right, you need to build a certain respect. You need to build a certain respect that your customers say, it's worth my time to come and meet up with your A, right? And the way to build up that respect without them meeting each other is through a process called tee-up. And that's why tee-up is important. Wendy talked a little bit about it. Didn't have much chance for you to practice, and which we will actually put into practice pretty soon, right? So what is tee-up? Tee-up is really this. The ability to present the story of A, right, to C. So that's how you've been telling Bradley, right? Hey, this is my A, pain in the butt, okay? That was your presenting of A to C. Now, but if you have told Pauline's story well enough, right? Bradley will be very curious to meet, wow, who is that lady that's causing you a pain in the butt, right? And you have that respect because not many people can cause a pain in his butt, right? So you build up a certain curiosity in Bradley to want to meet up with Pauline. And that's all you need to do, is to arouse Bradley's interest for him to meet up with Pauline. Now, why does Bradley wants to meet up with Pauline? Believing something, right? That, hey, somehow meeting Pauline does bring me something, bring me value. It could be whatever it is. It could be just health. It could actually be business. It could be whatever it is. And that's the important thing, right? Always remember, your C, if they come here, must believe that, hey, it's worth my time to spend, half an hour to come to Avita to meet this friend they've been talking to me about, because in her mind, who is this superwoman or superman that I am going to meet? Right? So that, in essence, is what we call tee-up, right? Now, one of the things is, we encourage you, please do not exaggerate, okay? Don't talk until like Pauline can fly or Pauline can whatever it is. Not okay, that's not what it is. It is what it is. If she's a pain, she's a pain. Okay, that's all. Okay, that's being authentic and do not speak. Now, this is something very common, which I've experienced, right? When people, they have not experienced that, but in trying to make believe, right? They speak of some things that they did not happen. So we always promote authenticity, right? Be what you are, because it's easier than to be able to do that. So do not exaggerate. Now, self-tee-up, I tell you, guys have done that. Right? Now, self-tee-up in this case, right, you'll be very surprised. You are what we call a little mini A. Mini A means what? There must be a reason that, for example, Yvonne, right, you were convinced in Avita, right? And what would be your little A story? Hey, my niece got better after I started taking Selagen, right? So create a little tee-up story, because your friends who speak to you will be very interested in, why are you telling me so much about, say, this company, right? That must be because you have felt something from it, right? For people who are 14, 15 years, easy, right? Wow, you look young and stuff. That's your tee-up story, right? That is your first convincing story that will tell people, right? Right? Your eczema, your daughter's eczema, right? Something helped, really changed her life. So you are convinced, right? So which is where I say that, find a little place where you benefited from Avita, whether it's a product or the business or you become so much better because now you know how to do gua sha, right? Before you cannot, right? Those are the little tee-up story that you yourself can build even before you are a PD. And that's really what I mean by self-tee-up, and the stories that, Wendy was getting you guys to write up. So, I give you some context on that. Really, what is your Avita story? Remember, you are not here to just sell products, okay? Sell products is a totally different thing altogether, all right? And this is when you have that little story, right, you will practice and practice and practice that until it becomes natural. Now, for someone who have talked, okay, how many of you know of Chap Lak Cheng, PD Cheng, right? PD Cheng, some of you. Well, she was famous because she actually made $16,000 in a month when she was like just a PD. And what was the story? We all remember her Bishan story, right? Bishan, where she was exercising, this lady collapsed, wanted to call ambulance, and voila, she has that magnolia. She remembered that, during her ambassador course, using the oils recovered, right? And she used that story, and that story was so authentic to me. And it becomes natural because when she keeps on telling, she actually becomes a natural story to her. And that was her little tee-up story. Of course, as she progressed, she got better as a leader, then her tee-up story would change, right? So even as a GA, SA, VIP, I don't care. As long as you benefited from it, right? Build your own tee-up story, right? Now, you all didn't have the luxury of that. Okay, so I'm just going around the table and say, Yvonne, who was the A that you picked up from your on your C profile? Who do you identify as the A? Siu Ling, is it? Okay, Siu Ling. Okay, good. Janice, who do you have on your A profile? Mala, okay. Possible, okay, Mala. What about this side, Julie? Who do you have on your A profile? Who do you select as A in your C profile? Tengi. Was it Tengi? Joey. Okay. Okay, and between yourself, Bradley, Adrian, who do you have for your C, for your A's? Who do you identify for your A?
Who else?
One and only one. Okay, I'm going to give you a lot more weapon than this. So, from today on, you don't need to just use that pen, okay? You can use other pen here. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to hand around. Okay, please keep it just for the newbies, okay? The veterans will send you a PDF file and, you have it. Yep. So, you will notice what we call an Avita tee-up scripts, okay? So, for example, so you realize that a lot of our leaders here, okay, are like chameleons, okay? Depending on context, because of their far range of experience, ranging from being small business, big business, housewife and so forth, right? So this is where, you now get a bigger spread of weapons. Okay, you get spread better. How do you look at it? Okay, so for example, if you look at and say Joey, okay, look at let's turn to Joey's profile. You realize that Joey's profile will say that you will come across somebody who's very quiet, introvert, or work in corporate and so forth, right? And you realize that Joey's profile sounds very much like my friend. This then is the story you could use. Now we have actually drafted the words. Again, once you get familiar with it, you can recontext it, whatever it is, but as long as the meaning is there, right? So we have given you a whole stack, of tee-up scripts that you could use, and that is what helps you really as you build your A profile, you build your C profile and see who are the suitable A's. Okay, go back to this reference story. Okay, now we do have Miss Lee's story there, but I don't expect you all to make an appointment to see Miss Lee lah. This is only when you need to tell her story and say that, hey, that's my CEO, that's why I'm so impressed with her. Okay, not like, hey, let's make an appointment to meet Miss Lee. Okay, yeah, maybe if you buy the PD in China. Okay, so make use of it, ranging from, so we have ranked them down, and of course, Adrian, you saw your beloved Pauline's story there. Okay, so yeah, make use of it. Okay. Now, this is what I'm going to have you guys practice on a little bit later. Now, this is what he does, right? Tee up, right? One of the things is, please know your A. Now, we are a very close-knitted family, okay? So when you say your story reminds me of, right, the best thing is, it reminds me of my friend called Pauline. It not remind me of this person in Avita. Walao, let me struggle to remember what she's called. Oh, I think it's called Tengi. I think her profile is something like that one. No, okay. Get to know all your A's, okay? Don't know when during the award dinner, please go around and introduce yourself, okay? Remember them, they might not remember you, take a photo, right? That's, hey, remember your... So, I have photos with all my VIPs, okay? They are all in my phone, right? So when I need to put that and say, hey, that's Joey, okay? Wow, this is my good friend Joey, he's an engineer, blah, 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 type of stuff, right? It's different, right? That's why I say, know your A. Your A may not necessarily need to know you, but please know your A, okay? Now, select the right A. Okay, if it's an engineer you're talking about, please don't go and give him some accountant portfolio that is like, then there's no resonance right now. Again, to your point, why you're using Mala? So not necessary your A has to be somebody inside that list or list, right? In that case, why? Did she choose, for example, Mala, because maybe her situation at that juncture, is very much like your friend. That is why it's important to not just know your leader, but also know all the people in the Avita family and their story, right? Because you might actually end up choosing an A that may not necessarily be one of the leaders, okay? So need not be a super A, just as long as you select the right A and the story resonates with them, right? A very common mistake, okay? We said don't tee up your C. Some of you may have that, wow, the friend I'm going to bring down is the CEO of a big pharmaceutical and so forth, type of stuff, right? And I'm bringing him to Avita. And you're so worried that, this friend will some of you may have that concern, right? Then over in Avita, you talk until this guy can fly, dragonfly, whatever. Okay, got dragon, got snake. Right, until so much is, don't worry, it's okay. I tell you, even for me, somebody who works in corporate high level for 30, 40 years, right? I tell you, when I first come to Avita, and as you get to learn the business, okay, I can tell you that nothing prepares you for this business, okay? For even whatever we learn, we are literally a newbie in this business. And even a leader who's been here for 1, 2, 3 years, in just terms of experience-wise and richness-wise in this industry, okay, we are way above. And what we know is also a cut above, seriously, many other different companies. So don't need to worry that, whether, okay, I tell you, whether they're CEO, whatever, the guy still got a health problem, and the guy don't know how to solve their health problem. Okay, yeah, okay, they will still need Jermaine to put the needle inside them. So that's why it's good to know Jermaine, okay? Don't worry, when it comes to matters of health, when it comes to network marketing, we are aces in our game. So don't make that same mistake. Tee up your C, worrying about that, right? Now, A need not always be a person. Do you realize that? And that's why we keep inviting you to the Chinese New Year event. Let you win the best dress and purposely, to make you feel. Right. So it could be events, right? Like what Yvonne did. Wow, Yvonne came to anniversary dinner. Hey, this is pretty cool. I didn't know got such company called Avita one. Okay, don't worry, I'm not the first one. A lot of people say, got such company called Avita one. Well, because if you go Google Avita in the network, right, you know what you get? You get a computer company. Okay. That's how I say Avita Health, okay? So an event can be a big A. And it's not just the anniversary dinner. It could be things like the Soaring Eagle. It could be things like, okay, I tell you, getting your new friends to dance together, wow, is the closest way to gel people together. And the dance is coming up, okay? So please, everybody sign up for it. Okay, that's the best way to gel. Yeah, once you dance together and see everybody in their thing and their elements, okay, you can't help but be a part of the family, okay? So events is important. Now, not just events. If you know how to use videos, some of you attended ELS, right? Very powerful video from either Tony Robbins, from team sales, and not just that, right? We have tons and tons of videos, right? Even BOPs that were done by leaders previously, we have them on record, and that's important. And of course, books, right? Books, correct ones, can open up minds. Like for some of my very new friends and so forth, I might give them a book like, for example, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Okay, don't need to get books like you want an e-copy. We all have lots of e-copies around these days, okay? I think some of my favorite will be like things like Wu My Cheese. Okay, the bottom books are more of, how to do it books by Big L, okay? So these are books meant to give your, your downlines, who are in the business. But, these books on top are meant to open up minds, okay? Open up thoughts, open up whatever it is, right? So these are what we call can be A's. Now, A's did not necessarily open up their mind to just Avita business. It's just to open up their perception to see, to open up their eyes to look at business. Yep.
Can I just quickly share?
Oh, sure.
I have one downline in my network called Dr. Grace. I think many of you know Dr. Grace. She was recently promoted as a Diamond President. For the longest time, she was a consumer. And then I always take the effort to, like Christmas, I would give my network downlines books. And I happened to give her Copycat Marketing. How many of you have read Copycat Marketing? It's a very small book. Mind you, she was still a consumer at the time, kid. And until now, she shared, it was that book that opened her mind to transit from consumer to the business. When I gifted her that book for Christmas. So very true. I attest to that books can be a powerful aid to someone in your prospecting. Thank you.
Yeah, go read some of these. And these books are not like super thick, novels. They can be actually finished in, in like a matter of like one day type of stuff. But they are very powerful, right? Especially like this one too, Parable of the Pipeline. Okay, this one can be a bit thick, overgoing, but if you master this, the only thing I would say that master how to explain the cash flow quadrant for, Robert Kiyosaki, very powerful concept. So these are stuff that can also help. So A is anything that's able to advance your prospect perspective. So you need not necessarily be a person all the time, right? Now, so when do you know when your tee-up is successful? Hey, when this, wow, you say, I want to go to the Chinese New Year Spring Fest every year type of stuff, okay? Then you know you have been successful. Wow, I really want to meet up with Siu Ling because, Siu Ling like a superwoman, is a life coach, know how to do this. I want to listen or I want to see, okay? This is when you know that, hey, hello, my tee-up has been successfully done, okay? All right. So to break up the monotony, okay, on your table itself, okay, there will be the scripts, okay? So I want, it's 4 to each table, so pair up, or I want the leaders to be the observer so you can take turns, right? Pick up on what you have written as your C profile as your A, right? Choose the story. Some of them will have 2 or 3 scripts down there, okay, or you can, get the gist of the script and use, and do this. And this is what I want to use because this thing I use all the time, okay? Always start with this thing, your story reminds me of, so it could be Siu Ling, it could be Joey, your story reminds me of Siu Ling, and read that thing out, okay? Read that thing out, okay? At the same time, when you read that thing out, you will also get to know them, okay? Now, the rest of them, you can probably get to know as you read more and more, and then some of the people you don't need. And I would encourage you, some of you, meet some of the people down here first, we have enough leaders that has the names down there too, and meet them and get to know them. Best take a photo with them, okay? That will be the start of your journey to collecting your pain in the butt, I call it, okay? All right, so I'll give you 10 minutes, okay? Start with that. Your story reminds me of, okay? And go ahead with the A profile, shall we? All right. Hey, I got timer some more. Okay, 10 minutes. Okay, let's go. Oh, wow, okay. All right. Now, I hope that was useful. Now, the thing is, the stories in the thing is, a suggestion. They are not even comprehensive enough, right? Take for example, if you take Tinggi's story, okay, those of you, if you turn to Tinggi's story, there's only one aspect of her. Right, but if you know Tinggi well, you attended her BOP and so forth, you realize there are many angles you could have, tee up Tinggi, right? From somebody, from with low self-esteem to eventually, wow, such a dynamic, empowering leader, right? That will be Tinggi, right? For somebody who has an accountant background, wow, become a, motivational speaker, whatever. So I would say, I encourage you to get to know, especially in these places where, you can see all of us, get to know us better, dig out from the inside, whatever it is, so that, the stories that you read down there give you enough of a background. But I encourage you to really go and talk to them, right? Go and liaise with them, go and know them properly and their stories. And we have not even compiled every, leaders or whatever down inside that, but good enough for you to have a good start and, start compiling that up. I would encourage you to just keep the PDF copy inside your computer so it's actually easy to think, right? Now, if you have been successful in your tee-up, guess what happens? Hey, time for the hot date, right? Time for C to meet up with your A, whoever that may be. Aha. Anybody have a good suggestion of what would be a good place to meet? Yvonne, what would be a good place to meet? Vita office. Why? Okay, show them all the products. Good. What about Janice? Where do you think what is a good place to meet? Cafe. Why would that be so?
If you see the showroom right now, it's a bit threatening.
Interesting perspective, okay? If you come, nothing wrong with that again, right? I mean, as you get more and more into the business, right? A lot of time you realize that can be a self-imposed belief, right? That, you bring here, if they see all this product, walao, next thing your pressure meter. So I think it's how we are prepared, right? If the person, for me, Avita office is my office. Avita office is not somebody's office, okay? I'll talk a little bit about that later. Okay, Julie, where would be a good place to meet? Avita office. Why leh? That's not a standard. Fresh refreshment, yeah, fresh water. Okay, very cheap. Yeah. Yeah.
Have refreshment, fresh water, cold water. And then you can see the full range of product that Avita sell.
Okay.
And then you can tee up your A.
Wow, okay. Not bad, not bad. Okay, what about you, Juliana?
Same thing, Avita. The environment is correct. And then they can see for themselves, this is not a kucing kurap or a fly-by-night organization. Sorry, yeah.
Remember what you once say, right? You once say, wow, first time I come here, so proper one, the office is not some industrial building, shady place.
Because some just small showroom and things like that, So it gives some legitimacy to the what. And then also the atmosphere. The atmosphere will be quite conducive, because you go cafe, you got a lot of other distractions and things like that.
Okay, good pointers, okay? Now, I always say that, first choice is always the Avita office. Not because it's just the Avita office, because this is also my office, right? This is my business, and really this is, I always say, I welcome you to my office, right? Now, this is, I don't recommend this, right? Meeting at your house of your prospect or even their office, right? If you really have to meet, if you're so this goes back a little bit to even if you do your grid and qualify type of thing, right? If you have a chance to do a meeting, okay, if you are doing a grid qualifying, need not necessarily be in the Avita's office, right? But one tip is as far as possible, don't meet in their house. If you need to do your grid and qualify, meet at a cafe near their house or, even in their office. This is from experience, when people are in their office, chances are, they get interrupted a lot. Right? Or, they are so busy in their office, you'll be outside there waiting, waiting to make an appointment, half an hour later, they're still stuck to our stuff. So this is not what I suggest, right? Especially if you're going to meet your A, okay? Unless you really don't have a choice. Like for example, they can only meet on Sunday or meet on Monday when the office is closed, then okay. Second choice, then of course I would say, if you need to select a suitable meeting place because the office is not available, then find somewhere that's quiet and conducive, right? And if the place is very popular, do make reservations, because the last thing you need to is that, everybody queue down there for half an hour to get a table, type of stuff, right? So choose it suitably, okay? So this is what I would say, where to meet, right? Now, some work for the B, okay, in preparation for the meeting. Please, okay, don't always assume that Joey will always be in the office. If you need Joey to be your A, please have the courtesy as a B, call and confirm that, hey, Joey, I'm bringing somebody here, just want to confirm that you will be in the office. He's aware and available. Now, second thing is your job as a B to tell Joey who he is meeting, okay? So brief Joey, for example, on the C profile of your guest. And if you know that your guest has some during your conversations with the Greek qualifier, has some concerns, whatever concerns may be, right? Highlight any Avita business concerns that, will need to be addressed. Now, don't assume that your friend who came here will automatically ask Joey that, hey, Joey, this is my concern, what is this type of thing, right? Chances are because this is the first time they are meeting, and typical Asian, right, we are a bit more shy, they typically would not raise up that question, right? So you can tell Joey, my friend, been scammed once, so you always have this adverse thing, just be aware of that, So with the leaders who are experienced enough, they would know how to handle stuff like that, right? Now, please, you make an appointment for 3 o'clock. Don't come at 3 o'clock, okay? Sometimes you can be so busy. When you come to the office, arrive early, chop a table. No need to use tissue paper, put your bags or whatever type of thing. Secure a table for your meeting, okay? So unless you come late, all the tables are occupied and so forth, right? So I would suggest that, this is good. Arrive early and secure a table for your meeting. Now, if there are other A's in the office, because you may have just been like, want to meet up with Joey, but when you come here, hey, wow, Kit is around, Wendy is around, Gina is around, and you want to use the other A's because you think that you want your friend to hear more story and meet more people, then, you can give them and say, hey, Gina, my friend is coming by later. I would like to introduce you to them. Brief them briefly on the guest seat profile. Now, most of the time, the leaders are experienced enough that once we kind of know the gist of your guest, we would know, how to tell the right story. Okay, so this is important, and that's one of the advantages of course, meeting in the office, because chances are you have other A's around that you can actually make use of. Now, some of the things that please, as the B, do prepare, because we do see this happening, we do see this during the meeting, right? You didn't prepare anything. Worst thing, you are so blurred to the whole thing, end up the A got to go and get their own paper, get their own calculator, and then no, okay? So as a B, these are some of the base work that you want to do, right? Prepare paper, pen, calculator. Can people tell me what the paper is for? Yes, to explain the 5-page business, okay? So if you don't know where to get, later when you go out and do the exercise, get the leaders to show you, yes, there are trays there that's supposedly with empty A4 papers. Right, products, price list and brochure, to know where you can get hold of them, okay? Price list and brochure. And of course, when your members say want to sign up, don't at that moment try and how to sign up members. So please practice some of this ahead of time, okay? The last thing you will need, is a bit embarrassing when you want to sign as member and then you needed your upline to help you sign this as member. You can do it through the phone or you can do it through the computer, which is much easier, okay? So some of the basic works that, B, please take note of, right? When C arrives, okay, yeah, you might say that it seems very basic, right? Well, some of the things that I just want to, there are people who find that, this will be useful. So if you find that, this is second nature to you, good. If not, do this, right? Avita is your home. Avita is your office. Please greet them as if you're actually greeting them and bringing them into the office, hey, welcome to Avita, welcome to my office, okay? I will actually greet them warmly. Now, this is one thing I need to make the B's aware of. Be very conscious of your C's time. If your friend has told you that, within 3 to 5, I'm free to be, or 3 to 4, because after 4 o'clock, I got to rush off for another appointment, be very conscious of time. Right? Sometimes you guys can run through that. I've seen that happen. And then you didn't even leave enough time for 5 pages and your friend said you got to go type of stuff. So be very conscious. And if you know that your C only has an hour, let the A's know about that. Right? Typically, it takes about, maybe 20 to 30 minutes to do a good 5-pager and then, have some time for questions. So, typically an hour would be good. You guys have the habit of going past hour, then you know that, there's a lot of fluff time that you're using up. Now, this is what I typically do. If you have chopped your table already, have them, bring them to the table, put their belongings first. This is what I typically do. So what Julie said, get them a drink to make them feel at home, it can be free cold water or whatever it is, okay? So you'll be your guest, right? Now, I would typically, especially their first time, you know, hey, what is this, Avita, right? Bring them to tour the office. Right? Yeah, this is your home, right? You'll be very proud to show off your home. And if you do this well, I can tell you, it's very, very impressive what you can make use of the office for, right? Using the office as a tee-up tool. Ta-da! Of course, you know, we are in a pretty historical building. Yes, go outside and say there's a historical plex about this whole building. Inside there, you guys during product experience, you'll realize that we have the AIC center. You can actually use that to explain, you know, in details to some of your friends. If you want to look at them, they can play around, you know, tap, 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 or whatever it is, type of stuff. Look at some of the leaders. Now, this is where you can say, hey, later we'll be meeting Pauline. Hey, look, Pauline is down there, right? Pauline is Diamond President Pauline. Or, hey, we're going to meet PA Josephine, type of stuff. We have the leaders, table there. And of course, you know, I typically like to show people around the products at this area. I would say one of the things you want to learn too is be quite good at explaining these. Like, get somebody who's able to explain that and then, you know, learn from them. You know, I typically would like people to walk here. So this actually take care of my first 5-pager, right? You know, but instead of doing on paper, I can even, you know, briefly tell them, oh, this is really what we do. We are in the anti-aging wellness business. So let me walk you through what we have, right? And be able to, you know, explain this very quickly in, say, about 10 minutes time, you know, the rest of the counters. And this is where you can actually see some pictures of our old events. If you are not too sure what they are, please ask the leaders, right? Because you can say, oh, see, we do social projects, then there are some famous faces and so forth. You know, if I'm very curious, hey, isn't that a MediaCorp star and things like that? So, you know, how many of you have actually seen this in detail? Okay, can't be honest. Okay, you know, or they are just a collection of pictures at the side. Okay, later when you all go out, go in and take a look closely. Okay, so these are some of the social events. And I don't know whether how many of you realize that, you know, this is actually a very impressive collection of things. Like, you know, we were like voted the best anti-aging product in the Hong Kong Expo. You know, some of the China, some of the accolades, and some of the, you know, the tank, the mementos and stuff from the events that we have taken part, right? So when you got this, imagine somebody who's walked in here, not expect, first thing when you walk here, wow, okay, they have a proper office. By the time they walk through it, right, you know, it's different, right? You look at it, oh, you mean they are in so many countries, right? It's a big difference, right? After one round of it all, you know, they have a better feel of the company, they have better respect for the company. They are like, whoa, okay. Well, I didn't realize Avita was so big. Well, I didn't Avita was in so many countries, right? So if you use this properly, it's a very powerful tee-up tool. Remember, tee-up may not necessarily be a person, right? It's a tee-up tool, right? During the walkabout, okay? This is your house, this is your family, right? And if you show that, you know, you're able to bring a friend and say, this is Joey type of stuff, or this is Wendy type of stuff, it makes a lot of difference, right? People will know that, oh, you actually know these people that you were talking about. That's why I really encourage you all to come, mix more, and not only when you got event, then come, right? After that, you don't know the people, right? And you'll be surprised at how powerful this thing is, right? When you come in here, then, wow, you know, I call to you and stuff like that, right? Your friends say, wow, okay, you are a familiar face here. People do know you. This is important. After your brief tour, okay, so be conscious of your time to introduce to your so-called big A, the one that you're invited today to specially meet the thing. Now, this is typically something that you can use because some people say, hey, I don't know how to invite. Okay, so I've just provided some words, okay? Politely ask A if it will be okay to seek their advice. Say, hey, hello, Joey. I know you've been in Avita for a long time. Will it be okay if we seek your advice, you know, based on your experience? Okay? This will be a very good intro line, okay? I mean, you create something, but, you know, until it becomes so familiar to you. You know, I know some of you are bring already, then don't know how to intro, so I even written the line in, okay? Will it be okay if we can seek your experience? So whoever it is, whether the A's that you use, okay? Don't worry, okay? Gina has kindly provided QR code. You all can download this whole wonderful thing, okay? Some of the things I just want to remind you of. You know, sometimes you see a leader walk past. Hey, Joey, come. I want to introduce you to my friend. Okay, yeah, don't laugh. It's happened before, okay? Big no. Okay, I find that this is a bit disrespectful, you know. hey, excuse me, let me go and check with Joanne and see whether he or she can spare us 5 minutes, okay? And then, you pop over there, type of stuff. And I think that's proper courtesy. Right? Do you agree with this? Right? Okay, yeah, we do see this happen, no? Like pasta like that. You don't call, hey, Miss Lee, come like that. Hey, yeah, like that. VIP member also don't have later, demoted. Okay? So yeah, don't do this when you see the A walk past. This one, if you see sometimes the A is very gracious, go around want to meet your friend, walk up to your table, right? And I would really stand up to greet, hey, hi, Tengi, so nice to meet you, type of stuff. What happens? Hey, your A who's sitting down. Wow, okay. She's standing up to greet her. Maybe I should also. Okay, especially when Miss Lee, Miss Lee comes, Miss Lee is very friendly, right? Miss Lee do come around the table, say hi, type of stuff, right? And occurred her that thing, and then you really elevate her, and then you say, oh, that's the CEO, my CEO, type of stuff, kind of thing. And, always remember, it is a copycat business, right? Your C will always accord B the respect. Yeah, okay. And copy what B does in front of A, okay? So, yeah, go back and digest this. Just want to remind you all of it, right? A bit on sitting position, okay? Okay, come take a guess, right? When your guests come in, you sit at a table. Some of the tables will face the entrance, okay? Maybe Julie, okay, where would you sit, say, your customer C? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Either 5 or 1. Okay, interesting, okay. Adrian, want to venture a guess? Where would you sit your customer? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay. And where would you? where would you sit? Where would you sit the A? Where would you sit the A, Adrian? It says 3. Okay. So 3 is taken by C, right? 7. Number 7. All right. Okay. Now, interesting thing. Where would you sit as a B? At the table. Okay, 3 and 7 taken up. Okay, 3 and 7 taken up. Yeah, interesting dynamics. Where should B be seated? Huh? 1 or 5. Okay, exactly 90 degrees. Okay. Okay. Any reason, Bradley, for the 1 or 5? 1 and 5. Huh?
Be
okay, fair.
I say 2 or 4 because prevent the 3 from escaping.
Every chair comes with a chain. You can chain them. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Good attempt. You know what? Because when you see this, right, next time when you are there, you can observe. Okay. Now, mindful of time. Okay. Correct. Now, you realize that we typically don't like to. Okay. Be conscious of this thing, whether the A, right? Of course, in the tables outside, we have eye contacts and so forth, It's important to know whether your A is a right-hander or a left-hander, right? Because if your A is going to do a 5-pager, unless you do a computer presentation, it's different, right? If A is a right-hander and C is seated here, right? A, when she writes, C will be able to see clearly, right? So of course, if it's the other side, is a left-hander, then okay, then different, right? Now, B sit together with C, not 90 degrees. Why? In your case, always remember you are on the side of your customer. Your job is to support her. Your job is to facilitate them to understand the business more, okay? And of course, if they don't see facing the entrance, then they are not distracted, okay? So very, very subtle things like this, okay? Next time you guys come in, observe and see whether are they seated, and then, tell yourself, okay? That's how you learn, right? Very, very subtle stuff like that. What happens if it's a square table, okay? So similarly, whether it's right-hander or left-hander, but if it's a rectangle table, you realize that B is always seated together with C. You don't want to have your B on the other side because there will be like 2% against 1, and that's not what you want to be perceived as. So small little things, but it's small little things that actually differentiate the pros and the just good enough, right? Now the B role is important. Do not, okay, be woody, okay? Malay called kayu, okay? Means so blur until you don't even know what's happening, sit down there, and then, the interaction is just between A. This is the chance for you to learn on the job. So we say, be attentive and be prepared, to react. Your job is to facilitate the whole thing. Now, we do get these things sometimes, right? You get some B who are so talkative until it's like, wow, really verbal diarrhea, okay? Let A do their job, right? Yeah, maybe a little bit of here, there, but don't to a point where is equal to your A. Your A talk as much as you do, and you chip in just as much as you do. We do see this happening, and more important, contradict A. Right? If there are things to be corrected or things that you're not too sure of, whatever that your A has spoken, that is not the spot to contradict. Okay, you can clarify together with it and say, hey, no, Joey, just now I heard that you see this. Is this correct? Maybe it's your own. You have not understood it well enough, but never contradict your A at the table. Right? It doesn't reflect well. And more important is, okay, do not be a second A. What does that mean? And the A is explaining, oh, no, that's not how it's done. It should be like this type of stuff, right? That is not what you want to be, right? Next time when you want to be, when you're A, then, let A do their job. No matter how good you are, right? Respect the A because you have asked them to do the explanation, right? Very common. You think that once you have brought your C to the table talking to A, your job is done. And guys, guess what? Playing with the phone and stuff like that, that's not your job, right? You want to be professional. Really, either turn your phone to silent, turn it down, face down, right? Stay away from your phone and pay attention. Can't emphasize this enough. This happens, okay? You might say that, are you sure? Yeah. Some people leave the C with the A and say, hey, hello, I got to go, Joey, I got an appointment. It's like, what do you expect Joey to do? Yeah, he can explain the business, everything to him, but the person to follow up is you, right? Not Joey. You think Joey after that will sign the person up? Then sign directly under him. Okay? Don't just leave C and then leave halfway, okay? This happens, especially with the new ones, okay? Wow. Your prospect already said, asking all the closing signals, how much is the thing? Oh, I think a GA, you can consider a GA. And then the one who has lack of confidence is not the person, is you. Oh, I think too expensive lah. No. I think SA can already lah. Don't buy GA lah. Yeah, okay. You might laugh at it, okay. This thing does happen, okay. We call it a lack of confidence B, okay. So again, these are some of the common things we have kind of observed, okay. So again, B's role is to support C by asking relevant questions, okay, to address some of C's concern about the Avita business, okay. Initially, I wanted to have you guys practice, but I think I'm conscious of time. Okay, I just want to point this out. Never put, is that mean timing no more? Okay. Yeah, never, okay. Okay, Joe, Gina will be passing out some scripts, okay, let me just focus on me now. Never put C in an embarrassing or awkward position, okay? This does happen with some new ones, even with some veteran ones, okay? So I just want to point this out to you, in front of a leader who is your A, and then you tell the leader, hey, my friend said MLM is a scam, how would you advise him? I tell you, you never see your friend in the office again, okay? Yeah. Hey, my friend wants to know why is Intelligence so expensive. That is like, it's like you're putting me in a very awkward position to say, I can't afford, is it, or something like that, right? Yeah, hey, my friend tell me MLM people at the top make all the money, all type of stuff, right? So never use this, my friend. Okay, even though that is the concern which is on your friends, okay? So a better way to facilitate that, which I provided you all with the list of questions, will be things like this, okay? How to facilitate like a pro. Okay? if you know that your friend has some concern that, the product is expensive and you have not been able to explain that very well, say, hi, hi, Tingy, with your many customers, I'm sure there are some that feedback to you that Salogen or oils or whatever is not cheap. Just curious, what do you share with them? Then let A do the job of explaining, and that's how you learn, right? As you learn, you get better and so forth. So I put in a couple of scenarios. Yeah, you do get friends who don't like MLM. Right, it's very common, right? Hey, hello, Wendy. I heard that before you joined Avita, you were super anti-MLM. Will it be okay if you share on what made you change your mind and how you have been able to become so successful in Avita and build up such a big network? Right, very natural. When Wendy answered that question, let's see, but in a roundabout way, answer your friend's concern. So this is how, in a very pro way, you bring up. So I have other scenarios, right? You see all these scenarios all the time, like, people have this fountain, like, people at the top make all the money. Like, hey, hello Gina, I've heard that many people say that MLM is the people at the top that make all the money. Now that you've been in the business for so many years, can you share with us if that's true? Right? In a very, very elegant way to answer your friend's concern. Wow, MLM is a scam. Hey, hi Alwin. I heard that before you joined Avita, you were a big believer that MLM was a scam. You gotta listen to his story, okay? You will do that, right? Will it be okay if you share on what made you change your mind and how you'll be able to become so successful in Avita? Now, isn't that a very elegant way to ask questions? No time to do the business. Okay. Wow. Hello. No, I know that, hello kid, I know that you're still working as a high-level executive at MNC, and I'm sure the job keeps you busy. So I'm curious, how is it that you're still able to make time to build your Avita business and even have partners overseas? Right? And then I'll be able to share my story and then I don't know how to talk, right? Some of the common things, right? Yeah, hello Joey. Most of us here in Avita know that you're an introvert by nature. Hey, but yet you have built a successful network here in Avita with thousands of members under you. Can you share your secret and how you'll be able to achieve that? Then Joey will share his story of how, even an introvert can be successful in this business, okay? So, common things, I don't have friends, I don't have money. Okay, this might happen because, there are people who, of course, find it tough to maybe invest in a GA, might want to start. And this is how you let them know that, it's possible to start, maybe a little bit more hard work. And I will ask people like Josephine, hey Josephine, being one of the top leaders of Avita and you have a network of more than 10 or 20,000 members for Josephine. I'm sure you have helped partners that find it challenging to start as a GA in the business to succeed. Can you share your secret of how you're able to make them successful? Okay? So others say, I think, I put in a lot of the common scenarios that you will find that people are, I tried MLM before, it didn't work for me, I don't know how to sell, like Wendy one, so you will tell Wendy's story, Wendy don't like to sell story, then she will tell her story, right? Right. So these are just the common ones. I hope this is useful. I was Googling for all the common objections that people would have. So this is how you facilitate, right? But prepare the leaders ahead of time that this is some concern of your leaders and this is what you do. Okay, I don't think we have time to practice, so you do have the script with you, okay? So, go back and practice on each other, practice them, I'm sure, make sure that you can, regurgitate them naturally. That's what I'm saying. Go forth and practice. Okay. Looks is chasing me off. So I'm going to come to a close. So a couple of things throughout the ABC, right? Observe the response of your guests. Okay, this is important, right? Okay, body language is important. Okay. And, facilitate to clarify. Facilitate basically means to help. If you know that this is a big sticking point in your prospect's head, facilitate them in asking the question, use the question that I've just asked. And it's not just one question. You can ask several questions, okay, of the same nature, but use the same thing, right? This will happen, right? So after the whole conversation at the table, suddenly then you'll find that, your A might say something like, oh, okay, wow, yeah, we Wendy's team, wow, do you know that, Wendy's a great leader, she's always mentoring her thing, work very closely with her team, whatever, right? Then don't be like a blur sorter and wonder what is happening there, okay? This is where we call the A, tee up your leader or network to give confidence to your B that, hey, I tell you, you join this team, nothing wrong. Until you join this team, sure successful one type of style, right? This is when the A will tee you up. And that time don't become like, hey, no lah, we are not like that one lah. Okay. Please accept that graciously. Okay. And then tee up. Okay. So reminder to the new ones. Okay. Don't. Yeah. Hey, no lah. Don't say it like that lah. No, it's not like that one. Why? Then you know. Okay. So remember when A tee you up, there's a signal to, hey, hello. You know, signals are quite positive. Then I may excuse myself and say, hey, I need to go toilet. Okay. Then you go and do your magic. And watch out for closing signals. Okay, so today's lesson is not on the closing signals. There can be another lesson just all by yourself, and then act on that. So there's a role of the B. Right? And of course, in conclusion, that's how we start with all the preparation work, and we spoke a little bit about ABCs. Okay, and that will then lead on to the last section, which will be done by our next trainer. Thank you very much.